Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 96 of those Muckrakers. Oh,
I'm
Pete.
Pat.
I forgot the I'm Pete part. I was like, why is he pausing?
I mean, I wasn't sure what to do. Like, maybe we were doing one of those back and forth things where you're like, Muckrakers, this whatever, and I'm supposed to like jump in and be like, and in today's very special episode of those Muckrakers, I'm Pat.
Oh, man. It's all right. Our opening is we always mess up the opening, so it's a thing now.
I mean, I guess so. There's a few that are half decent. My favorite are always the ones where, like, I'm going to do the opening, and I start to do it, and then I realize, oh, I'm just, like, ripping off someone else's opening. So I, like, try to say anything different, but instead I just pause. Like, I always sort of go into the, coming to you live, once again, through the power of the internet, which is Boogie 2988's opening. So I always sort of want to go into that rhythm, but then I'm like, coming to you, shit, I don't want to say those words, say something else. Coming to you dead through the power of zombification. Oh, that's a good one. I wish I could think of that, like, on the fly.
Yeah, well, I guess our, just like our journalistic integrity, our opener is suspect and not great.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit about this. I wanted to open with this story. Speaking of a lack of journalistic integrity, sometimes I think that newspapers or news organizations just ask stupid questions to get people stirred up. This comes from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, and the title is, Should Teachers Have to Pay for Classroom Supplies?
No, they shouldn't. Though I bet fucking Betsy DeVos says that they should if she had her way, because she wants to give all the money to private schools so that public schools have to, have nothing. Just like big empty cement rooms that are 106 degrees and cook all the children alive, because fuck them, they're poor children anyway that can't afford to go to her fancy schmancy schools.
Well, it gets worse. Like in some school districts, their teacher's contract is defined as the teaching thing or other duties. And so some of them are being forced to like work the concession stand after school hours and all this other stuff.
That sounds like constitutional interpretation, right? Where they say, it's this or that, and then people are like, it means this, bear arms.
It's just one of those, just like, this article should say, should teachers have to pay for their own supplies? And then the whole article should say, fuck no. What are you, high?
We need, like, the Supreme Court of the teachers' unions to, like, come together and weigh in on this constitutional crisis. This contractual institution crisis, one could even say. And just say, yeah, no, teachers should not have to buy shit for their kids. Like, the school really needs to be able to budget for that. If they can't, then, I don't know, cut the principal's pay. Cut whoever's in charge's pay.
I feel like it's going to get to the point where they're just like, should teachers be taken around the back of the school and summarily executed by being shot in the back of the head for failing test scores?
Of course not, Peter. That would damage school property.
The Atlanta Constitution. Yeah. Should teachers be barcoded and then locked in a supply closet at night instead of going home because they're technically school property? The Atlanta Journal-Constitution wants to know.
Yep. So, yeah. Speaking of that, though, Sarah Palin tried to tell you about this gotcha journalism, don't you know?
I wouldn't say it's gotcha so much as it's just like, this is stupid.
So is Sarah Palin.
We haven't heard a lot from her lately. I wonder how she's doing.
I hope she was eaten by a wolf.
Well,
she just went out on her helicopter, and the wolves had a better helicopter that just ran her down, and then they all pounced on her and ate her alive.
We're all going to be real upset when wolves figure out how to operate like heavy machinery, because they're real smart. And I used to imagine, like, I was out hunting, and then I got attacked by a helicopter full of wolves.
I like how he sort of went into your Wesley voice there.
Because
I went out hunting one day, and I was just trying to look for some wild Mrs. Dash to catch and bring home. I was going to kill it and clean it and then sprinkle it on my ragu. But then I went out there, and a wolf attacked me. Oh.
Well, if anybody got run over by a wolf driving like a truck, it would be Wesley.
I guarantee you it would be like a truck that Wesley had driven out there, left the keys in, and left it in, like, drive, just so he didn't have to do as much work when he got back in to leave. And then just a dog jumped in there and ate the steak that he had on the dashboard, in case he got hungry. But he left his steak there, and now the wolf is at it, and then the truck starts to go forward, and the wolf is, like, steering, balancing, trying to eat Wesley's steak, and then Wesley looks up from whatever he's doing, catching the wild Mrs. Dash, and here's the truck just coming right at him, headlights right in his face, and he's like, oh no, it's happening again.
Again. Well, speaking of wolves, I have a news story here about a Clark County judge I don't actually know where Clark County is. I think maybe it's in Oregon. Either way,
I don't know.
it doesn't matter where it is. Point is, the judge basically had the equivalent of a human version of a wolf. A guy who was I like how they say a suspected domestic abuser. He refused to raise bail on this guy, and he did what domestic abusers do. But let's get into the news story. Judge John Farragreave said, no two cases are the same. Judges have many factors to consider when prosecutors ask to raise bail, and every potential decision has consequences. In September, Kalen Hill was arrested on suspicion of fourth-degree assault and interfering with the reporting of domestic violence after his wife, Tiffany, told investigators he pushed her into a wall, causing her to hit her head. She also tried to call 911, but he stopped her from calling 911. The judge issued a no-contact order to Kalen, saying he couldn't come within 20 feet of his wife or contact her by person or by phone. He also barred him from buying or possessing a gun. And in October, Kalen tried to buy a gun at Walmart in Portland, but was denied after the background check. Over the following weeks, Kalen violated the no-contact order on multiple occasions. After one encounter, deputies searched Tiffany Hill's car and found a GPS tracker attached to the underside of the vehicle. When they found Kalen at a nearby bowling alley, a sheriff's deputy reported seeing him pull out an iPhone and delete an app. He was arrested again and charged with felony stalking, and his bail was set at $75,000. Tiffany filed a domestic violence victim statement as well as a danger assessment to determine how much of a threat Kalen Hill was to her. In the threat assessment, she said her husband had recently threatened to use a weapon against her or others, threatened to kill her and himself, destroyed property, spied on her and stalked her, and tried to control her daily activities. Kalen Hill scored a 31, an extreme risk, according to the prosecuting attorney. But they asked the judge to set his bail at $2 million, an amount that they thought he would be unable to post. The judge tripled the bail to $250,000, but declined to raise it further, and Kalen Hill was released on bail. 5 days later, he shot and killed his wife as she sat in her car in front of her kids and her mother.
Holy shit.
So, man, I like how the judge is like, no two cases are the same. Sure, he was a violent psychopath with a history of violence and stalking, and may have put a GPS on her car and continually threatened him, violating court orders, but, no two court cases are the same.
Yep.
Yeah, so I don't know what more you have to do to be considered like a serious threat and just have bail denied.
Right.
Like, this guy is like movie level stalking this woman and like violated the court order multiple times. He should have been in jail, and they should have been like, yeah, you don't get bail because you're a murder machine.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I mean, the judge is trying to justify his own decision-making by saying, well, everything's different, and how was I supposed to know he would kill her? I'm not psychic. I didn't even know he'd be able to raise that much money. But, I mean, at the same time, they did try to tell you need to set it up here, and they're probably saying that was some kind of a knowledge of his ways and means.
Well,
right?
I don't understand what the point of a threat assessment is if they go, damn, I don't know what a 31, I don't know it's a 31 out of whatever, but a 31, anything that I've ever scored, a 31 is not good.
Let's see. Threat assessment 31 meaning.
I mean, that like... And, that's the thing. He also, tried to buy a gun. Like, did you think that he's like, I think I'd like to do some hunting? It just so happens that also I threatened to kill my wife and myself. But, I'm an avid outdoorsman.
Yeah, Google is not my friend today. Like, it is not coming back with any sort of
maybe that's
good...
maybe that's the problem, is the judge is like, let's Google threat assessment. I can't find it. You know what? It's right before lunch. Let him go.
Yeah, that could be it. The judge was like, you know what, screw it.
This must have been one of those right before lunch cases, and he's just like, I'm really dying for some Jimmy John's. Let's bail set, gotta go.
I picture Judge Wesley presiding, and he's like, "Oh, I gotta go out and have a smoke break. What do you mean I gotta raise his bail? Oh, but that requires paperwork, and I gotta go all the way into my office. Now look, I don't have time for this right now. Now if you'll excuse me, I gotta go all the way into my office to get my smokes, and then I'll go out and smoke." Oh, and then he left to go have a smoke break, and the guy got to run free and shoot his wife across the street. And Wesley was all like, "Oh, God damn it, it happened again."
I get that no two cases are the same, but I do think that you should definitely be suspended for a period of time if you're that crappy a judge.
Maybe. Skype just did like that weird thing where there was an unnatural pause in what you were saying, and then it like caught up all at once.
I
So,
like to imagine
yeah.
that Skype is making me sound more important. But yeah, that you should, if you are that bad at your job, you should maybe take a long vacation, maybe unpaid for a little while, and be like, "Yep, you really screwed the pooch on this one. Uh,
Yep.
you're gonna be suspended for a while, buddy. Just you're not good at this. Your whole job is to judge people, and you are not a good judge."
We judge you and have found you wanting.
Yeah, wanting another job because you ain't good at this one.
Maybe in his next job, Walmart greeter, he'll have a bit better judgment. Oh, hello, welcome to Sears. Shit, I fucked up again.
Oh man, well, to bring it up a little bit, I got some that's cute news for you.
Oh, we haven't had that's cute news in a while.
Yeah,
Let's hear it then.
That's cute news. So, the blood pipe is still spewing blood after nearly 2 years.
What?
Yeah. Hey Pat, do you remember the blood pipe? The pipe that spews blood?
Is that like from a horror movie?
No, it's a real
the
pipe.
walls are bleeding again?
There's a real pipe in British Columbia that is spewing blood.
On purpose?
Yeah, they were supposed to shut it down 2 years ago.
What's it connected to?
You're about to find out. In the fall of 2017, this guy Tavish Campbell followed a hunch, dove to the bottom of this place called Discovery Passage Channel off of Vancouver Island in British Columbia. He suspected that the nearby Atlantic salmon processing plant, Browns Bay Packing, was directing its effluent pipe, a wastewater system common to the fishing farming industry, into the water of the channel where sockeye salmon swim. What he found was not normal. The pipe was churning out a stream of gore and scales into the water. They analyzed the sample and found that it contained intestinal worms as well as Piscine reovirus. So basically, not only is it a blood pipe, but like the blood and the guts are also infected with worms and a virus that kills fish. So they said at the time that the fishings and oceans industry must do more to protect wild salmon. That was like 2 years ago, including mandatory tests, for the stuff they're releasing into the water, right?
Right.
So when this guy Campbell dove down to the same spot 2 years later, and 4 other times, the pipe was still gushing blood. So apparently they're like, we should do more, and then they didn't. 2019 saw the worst sockeye salmon return on record for British Columbia. So like the fish are all dying because of blood pipe, and literally no one's doing anything about it.
So this fish processing plant catches these fish, cleans them, and then puts their stuff back out into the same place where the fish are and kills the fish? Wouldn't that eventually kill their own industry if they keep doing it?
Oh yeah, but
or are they cleaning different fish?
They might be cleaning different fish, but either way, companies.
Oh, maybe their competitors sell the salmon and they sell like trout or something, and so they're trying to kill off the competition by just murdering all the salmon with trout guts.
Blood pipe, the oldest trick in the book.
Yeah, that's possible, right? I missed hearing what exactly they make, so until I know for sure that they make salmon, I can say, well, maybe they do trout or flounder.
So it says that the Browns Bay Packing, their managing partner, told the news, we're working on a $1.5 million water treatment system. We don't test for PRV, which is the virus, but we are confident in our disinfection process, killing bacteria and viruses.
I'm not.
Yeah, they're just like, yes, we don't test for it, but we're sure it's safe. Please stay away from the blood pipe.
Yeah. It's like, don't worry, we haven't tested any of these hippies out here that have had like an all-weekend Firefest orgy, but I'm sure that they're all clean. Go, put your wiener in any of them.
I personally, you know how I'm a weird punishment kind of guy. I would like to rule that we add an extension onto the blood pipe and have the blood pipe redirected into the CEO's living room.
So that's sort of like the idea that the government should only have the same type of health care that the citizens have, right?
Or better
these
yet,
CEOs should only live in the condition that they leave nature in. If they want a clean house, they need to not spray a blood pipe into a pond.
Or we reroute it to whatever his into his pool and his water system. So every time he turns on the shower, it's like at least like 5 minutes of fish guts before he gets real water.
Yeah, or we could do that to Wesley just for the fun of it.
And then we could be like, I'm sure it's safe. I'm sure there's no weird intestinal worms in it at all. Just run the water for a little while. It'll clear up. Blood pipe.
Oh no! And then Wesley would like come on our Facebook Messenger and be like, "Oh guys, I have the best news. My shower started producing soup, and now I have a whole bathtub full of it. It's delicious."
Well, one local man loves blood pipe. But yeah, that's just like, oh God, I hate reading anything environmental because I'm just like, that is egregious. And the fact that everyone's like, blood pipe, what are you going to do?
Yeah, I don't understand it. It's like that guy that just died today. What's his name? Let me pull it up. It's still trending on Twitter right now.
Epstein?
It is. It's no longer trending. Wow, people got over him fast. Oh, Juice World. He's a rapper. He just turned 21 like a week ago, right?
Uh-huh.
And then he died from multiple seizures today.
His name was Juice
and
World?
Yeah, Juice World.
It's really weird that it was...
And just people are just sort of joking about it today. So it's like, yeah, people not only don't care about death, destruction, carnage, and blood pipes, but also they just sort of make light of it and move on. And yeah, I get the idea of macabre humor being a celebration of life instead of death, and saying, oh, aren't we all happy that we didn't just die of multiple seizures or get a blood pipe sprayed in our face? But at the same time, I don't know that I have that much faith in humanity to believe that that's really why they're doing it. I think they really just don't care.
Do you ever consider a life of eco-terrorism?
Yeah, like, have you ever seen the villains on Captain Planet? They're way cooler than the kids.
Yeah, no, I mean like that, but for good. I don't mean like destroy the environment. I mean like, go to the blood pipe factory and, I don't know, maybe set it on fire.
Isn't that what PETA does? And everyone hates them.
No, they do dumb, ineffective stuff, and then they also kill millions of animals every year. They throw paint on people wearing fur. They're not actually attacking, like, the corporate overlords. Like, listen, throwing a bucket of paint on, like, a rich lady at a gala for wearing a fur coat, that's not doing anything. You have to go to the fur coat factory and then, like, flood it with a blood pipe.
That might be fun.
You know what I mean? Then you hit all the coats. You know what I mean?
Now, I wouldn't set it on fire because I'm sure there's going to be, like, even if it's, like, in the middle of a holiday, someone's got to be keeping the lights on. So we'll probably trap and kill at least a few, like, people that are there against their will. They don't want to be working on the holidays, and now they're on fire.
Yeah, that's the problem is, everybody be like, I worked at the blood pipe plant, and now I don't have a job. Like, sacrifices have to be made.
I don't care about the people losing their jobs. I just don't want to set anyone on fire.
Yeah, well, all right. We'll pull the fire alarm first. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, sometimes...
Give them a 5 minutes head start. Pull the fire alarm, and then after, like, 5 minutes, after they've had time to be like, I guess there's no fire, then we set it on fire. So they're like, well, shit, I should have left.
Sometimes I just think about eco-terrorism, and I'm like... But if it's saving the environment and stopping blood pipe, like, you know what I mean? Is it really
fuck it, I'm game.
Terrorism?
Let's burn them all. Let's burn them all and let Wesley sort them out.
Well, speaking of Wesley, I got a really great Dear Wesley for us here.
Awesome.
And it made me think, do we have an official religion for those Muckrakers? Would we claim is there a religion that we claim?
Shintoism?
Maybe. I kind of like Zoroastrianism.
Ooh, that's a good one.
I like the name. I don't really know what it entails. I know it was the ancient Persians. Persians were Zoroastrianists, but I'm not very well informed. Either way, here at those Muckrakers, we sure as hell ain't atheists, and I'll tell you why with this Dear Wesley.
All right, let's hear it.
Dear Wesley, am I an asshole for putting up Christmas lights when it's against my neighbor's religion? This is our first year in our new home, and we live on a cul-de-sac with only one neighbor next to us. We go all out on Christmas decorations and lights, like our electric bill is going to be crazy. We have almost half an acre of front yard alone, and it's covered, and we enjoy doing it, and we don't do it for any reason other than we just enjoy it. And we have random people coming by to see the lights. It's not something we ask for. It just happens. It doesn't bother me in the slightest. I'm glad people like our lights. Well, my neighbor has an issue with us. He doesn't like so many random cars coming by early evening. It really doesn't last all night. We probably get 30, 40 cars come by, and they drive real slow and stop and take pics. He says he is a very strong atheist and doesn't appreciate the Xmas lights. He said he's fine with a moderate amount of lights, but this is overboard, and he has asked for us to tone it down. Wesley, we really don't want to. We bought our house, and we keep everything on our property line. I know it sounds kind of dickish, but I don't know. The lights go on at 6 p.m. and go off at 10 p.m., we have a high electric bill. but we do get help from our solar panels. We try to be conservative throughout the year, hence the panels. We do our part to stay green. The side street we are on is just me and him. We both have around 3 acres, so we are not on top of each other. We both have a lot of space between us. So Wesley, am I an asshole?
I'm going to go with no, they're not an asshole. Now, my first thought was whenever they said, we keep everything on our property, I'm like, well, the light gets off of your property. But then they said they turn it off at 10 o'clock sharp, so that's very considerate. It's not like they have it on till like 1 a.m. and the guy's trying to go to sleep, but the lights are blinding him, like in Chevy Chase's Christmas Vacation, when the lights like go in through the window and it like knocks the couple out and they're like falling around, breaking all the shit in their house.
What I really like is this is the second episode you've made of Chevy Chase's Christmas Vacation reference, and I kind of love it.
Oh, nice. 'Tis the season, I guess. I didn't even realize I did it last time.
Yeah, I mean, if the light's not blinding him, I take exception with the fact that he's like, I'm an atheist, and I'm like, go fuck yourself. Like,
yeah, like, I mean, that doesn't really change anything, because like his argument is, I don't want these lights up. But he doesn't want them up because he doesn't believe in Santa? I'm pretty sure the person putting the lights up also doesn't believe in Santa. So, like, I'm not sure how that helps his argument any.
I get super annoyed. I hate atheists for the same reason I hate super duper fanatical religious people. Because you see it when they're like, how dumb is it to believe in a sky god? I'm like, yeah, well, you can't disprove it either, so we're kind of in a weird gray area. So to claim absolutely that is another form of the same thing. You really hate yourself, don't you?
Can we be Pastafarians?
No, that ties in with the atheists. They're like, what if I was a Pastafarian? Ha ha ha. I'm like, fuck yourself.
I guess so, but I just like the idea of the flying spaghetti monster up there somewhere, touching us all with his noodly appendages.
Well, the idea that like, I'm not saying there is a God or there isn't a God, but I definitely don't think that, like, if anybody stands up and says, like, I know the answers, that dude's crazy and don't listen to him. I don't know, man. Like, just fucking let people have their thing as long as they're not trying to push it up. As long as they're not like, you need to put up Christmas lights too because I don't like atheism. Like, fucking let people...
Yeah, that would bother me, but... So, yeah, like, my stance is that I like Christmas because I like all the lights and they're pretty, right? So, I would be happy having a neighbor that put all that stuff up, and this other guy just strikes me as being a Scrooge saying, bah humbug!
Well, if you're an atheist...
So that's my stance
If you're an atheist, you can't, you don't celebrate, like, the holidays? Like, that's your, like, I'm an atheist, I don't do Christmas or Thanksgiving, like...
It reminds me of that one play they put on in South Park. It was, I think, season 1. They were trying to do, like, a completely unoffensive holiday play.
Yeah.
And they had to keep removing things until finally the play happened. And it was just a bunch of students wearing, just black clothes, standing on the stage, slowly turning in circles while someone was playing on a piano saying, happy, 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 everybody's happy.
Yeah.
Happy, happy, happy. And it was just like bland and boring and dull. And I'm like, yeah, that's a completely unoffensive play because nothing's in there that could upset anyone.
Here's the thing, man. Also, if you buy a house in a neighborhood, kind of your own fault. That's why if I ever buy a house, I'd like to buy a house in the middle of nowhere, or the middle of a desert, because I don't want to fuck with neighbors. The only time I've ever seen a thing about like a bad neighbor where I actually might have committed homicide or burned my neighbor's house down was an episode of Hoarders where a lady's toilet was broken.
Oh no.
And so it had overflowed, so then what she did was like she pooped and peed in a bucket till it was full, and then she kind of like slopped it out on like her back lawn or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
She's throwing open sewage out on the lawn, and you know that like not only does it spread disease, but it smells terrible. If I was her neighbor, that might have been when I'm like, I gotta burn her house down while she's in it. I can't live like this.
Yeah, that would be when it's time to set everything on fire like it's a fur coat factory.
Blood pipe. But yeah, man, I don't. Yeah, what would Wesley say though? How would Wesley address this?
About the poop in the backyard?
No, because I'm pretty sure that's how Wesley's neighbors actually live. No, I mean the Christmas lights.
If he was the Christmas lights owner, well, Wesley wouldn't be putting the lights out in the first place. He'd be like, oh, that takes way too much effort. I tried to get Dylan to do it, but he wouldn't do it because he's a dill hole. So I told Ma to do it, and she wouldn't do it because she still has her hernia. So I told Dad to do it, and he's a lazy asshole. He ain't going to do anything. So no one has any Christmas lights. Oh, ha.
Yeah, man, I don't know. If you don't like your neighbors, fucking move. Like, that's your fault for living in a place with neighbors. And I'm an atheist. Fuck yourself.
Yeah, it'd be like, I'm an atheist, and Wesley'd be like, well, as long as you're not a Jehovah's Witness, and I guess we're okay. I'm an atheist, and let me tell you how to go about your life. And oh no, okay, hold on, I'm gonna get my shotgun. Oh.
You ready for some adventures of Police Cop Robot?
Police Cop Robot. Oh, we had a segment about that one time.
Yep. This is a pretty horrific trending news story. 4 dead after armed robbers hijack a UPS truck.
Huh.
A pair of armed robbers and 2 others, including the driver of the hijacked UPS truck, were killed in an exchange of gunfire with South Florida police and I assume Police Cop Robot after leading the authorities on a high-speed chase. Now, I already hate this headline because they say 4 dead after the armed robbers hijacked the UPS truck. And as we get into this, you're going to see that, like, maybe it wasn't the robbers' fault. Well, I mean, they were kind of at fault, but they had help from Police Cop Robot.
Okay.
So the robbers, they held up a jewelry store, and then they hijacked a UPS truck and held its driver hostage. They fled the scene, and they evaded police for dozens of miles, but the truck stopped in the middle of rush hour traffic, and armed officers surrounded it. There was an exchange of gunfire between law enforcement, Police Cop Robot, and the suspects. And this is what the news says. This is what the special agent in charge of the FBI says. There was an exchange of gunfire between law enforcement and the suspects, and unfortunately, the suspects are now deceased. The special agent in charge of it said, but also 2 additional innocent civilians were also deceased.
Huh.
Now, this had cops from, what is it, like 15 different agencies? Basically, the UPS driver's being held hostage. They're in the middle of a busy intersection, and all of the cops and Police Cop Robot begin shooting into the truck.
They're using occupied vehicles as, quote, human shields.
Yeah,
I pulled up the article. I've just been looking through it.
Yeah, they went full Grand Theft Auto. You know how in Grand Theft Auto, when you get in a shootout with the police, they also just shoot random bystanders and then drive away when you're dead?
Yep.
Yeah. They went full Police Cop Robot on this one. They're like, kill suspect, kill all witnesses, shoot bystanders, blame suspects, mission accomplished.
I forgot that Police Cop Robot was like the Daleks. He stole the truck, exterminate!
Yeah. Somebody was like, man, this is amazing. They shot 300 rounds into a UPS truck to stop some guys from stealing some jewelry that was insured.
Yeah. What was it? 6 people died because it was the 4 people plus 2 bystanders?
Yep.
So 6 people died for some rocks.
I'm sorry,
Good
I think it was 4 people. I think it was the 2 suspects, the UPS driver, and then one other random person that was like, man, I can't wait to get home, it's going to be a nice day. Tomorrow's a half day. Blam, blam, blam. Exterminate. Kill all witnesses. I'm surprised
Murder all humans.
I'm surprised that that Police Cop Robot didn't just go around and be like depositing guns into each vehicle to make it sound like there were more armed suspects than there were.
Planting drugs.
Here's the fucked up part. This is why this is so fucked up. So initially, the police were like applauded as heroes, right?
Right.
UPS releases this fucking statement. What a peach of a statement. And UPS says, we are deeply saddened to learn that a UPS service provider was a victim of this senseless act of violence. We extend our condolences to the family and friends of our employee and the other innocent victims involved in the incident. And here's where it gets to be a peach. We appreciate law enforcement service and will cooperate with the authorities as they continue the investigation. So, they are thanking the cops who gunned down one of their employees being held hostage.
Yes.
Yeah. Like,
damn.
Wow. So anybody that really puts their back in for their job and loyalty to your company will thank the cops when they gun you down while doing your job and then replace you the next day with another guy.
Yeah, I mean, imagine if that happened at McDonald's. They wouldn't have even released a statement. That'd have been like, we are deeply annoyed to have to train a new fry cook today because Thursday we had just finished training the last one.
McDonald's would like
It costs
to...
us many man hours to make sure that they know when to take the fries out, when the buzzer goes off.
McDonald's would like to thank the police department for providing extra meat for McNuggets. and thus helping our bottom line. I don't
John
know.
was delicious.
This is definitely one of those 1980s, like, 3 city blocks, McCullough. You're a maniac. Give me your gun and your badge. But God damn it, you got the job done. They had a hostage, and instead of like backing off and doing what cops are supposed to do, which is like, come on, let the hostage go. Would you like a pizza or perhaps a chopper to another? You know what I mean? They were just like, fuck it, we're gonna. You know what? UPS lost my package. Let's get some fucking payback.
You're a loose cannon, Mulvaney, but damn it, you get the job done. You don't play by the rules, and that's how you accomplish the job.
This is so
And it's
bad
like-
that the FBI is just like, all right, we got to investigate this one. They did put the cops on like administrative leave finally, but at first they were like, I guess they were like, hey, get those medals out. We're gonna have a police parade. Then they were like, oh, people are real mad about this. Well, we misread that one.
Yeah. But people were like hyped about it at first till more of the facts got out, I guess.
No, people were immediately pissed off, but the police were like,
Okay.
no need to call us heroes. You know, we put our pants on like everyone else. One leg at
the
a
poliyou were the one that was celebrating it initially.
Yeah. They were
Just
like,
them.
fine work of our fine officers. You know, we really prevented, you know, the jewelry from being stolen, I guess. And just, you know, you don't like to throw the word hero around, but, you know, heroes, you know, that's all. I'm like, God damn, dude. Like, they didn't get removed from, put on administrative leave till everyone's like, yeah, 4 people are dead over a shitty jewelry heist.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's awful. What do you think Wesley would have done in that situation? Would Wesley be like the doctor to the Daleks with a police cop robot? Just like this guy that sort of bumbles his way through escaping them and foiling their every moves, or
No.
would he intelligently do it?
Honestly, I don't know how Wesley would react in this situation except being really mad that he got shot like 30 times.
I was picturing Wesley being like in the car behind the guy that got shot, so he's all like, "Oh God damn it! Now I got to go around this car, and there's too much traffic. I'm gonna be late. My hot pocket's gonna get cold."
And I know that like people are going to be like, it was the criminal's fault. They robbed a jewelry store. They fired shots at officers. Yes, that's what criminals do. But guess what? The trained police are supposed to do. Not go all fucking Clint Eastwood and be like, you know what? Joke's on you, punk. I don't even care about the life of a UPS driver. What? Bam, bam, bam.
Yeah. I mean, yeah,
think you have
police are
taken a
supposed to be
hostage
trained.
You think you have taken a hostage that I care about? You are incorrect.
You think human life means anything to me? No! Exterminate!
Human life means less than I shot my partner the other day to cover a crime. Why do you think you are any more special?
3 weeks ago, my partner got the last tuna and cheese sandwich, so I shot him and took it. You cannot hide from me.
But this is insane. And it wasn't like it was just like a couple of bad eggs. Like there were multiple professional police agencies like on this chase, and no one goes, there's a lot of people here. Maybe we should back off so that no one else gets shot. Nope, just yeehaw, cowboy, pow 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 pow.
Police cop robot shows up and he's like, perhaps a grenade?
Yeah.
Escalate?
I guess the
Escalate?
I guess the one good thing was that the police weren't able to like go get their fucking military hardware and be like, hey Donnie, we ain't got to use the grenade launchers yet. Go back to the station and get one. This is gonna be fucking cool.
Yep. So, speaking of things that are fucking cool, guess what just got passed this week?
What?
The H.R. 4 bill. It passed through the House 228 to 187 votes.
I don't know what the HR bill is.
It's so remember a few years ago when SCOTUS overturned the Voting Rights Act, right?
Right.
Voting Rights Act, which was put in place in the I want to say the 60s to make sure that the South couldn't fuck over black voters.
Right.
And SCOTUS was all like, well, we're probably done with this, and then they just threw it out, even though it was still very much needed.
Yeah.
It what the HR 4 bill does is that it takes key components of the Voting Rights Act and turns it into law permanently. So it'll do things like southern states have to request permission to make drastic changes to how they do their votes in certain districts, so that they can't just redistrict everything so that all the black people are in one district. However, they have to like draw that, and then white people are everywhere else. That
Yeah.
way, only white people's votes really matter.
You know what's
Now,
interesting about voter enfranchisement is, restricting the electorate was actually what our founding fathers had in mind, because they were like, yes, Mortimer, democracy, but unlimited because the people are stupid and might make dumb decisions.
right, well, what the government's doing right now is they're trying to make it so that only the stupid people can vote, and all of the smart people are like sectioned off so their votes don't matter.
Yeah.
Because stupid people are a lot easier to manipulate into believing what the wealthy overlords want them to believe, which is that if they vote for Republicans and vote against all their own best interests, that will actually fix anything. But it is nice that John Lewis got to gavel in the final vote on this act. But of course, you got to keep in mind, the bad news is that now that it's passed the House, it goes to the Senate to die by Mitch McConnell's turtled, flippered hand.
I'm kind of surprised that the Republicans don't take things like that and then, like, when they vote on it, just throw it up in the air, and then everybody pulls out a pistol and just shoots it like those cops, like it's a UPS driver.
Essentially, that's what they did, because, I mean, the 187 votes against it was 186 Republicans, which is all of them, plus one independent. So all of the Republicans are strongly against it. All the Democrats are for it. For some reason, it's a partisan issue whether or not black people should be able to vote.
It's the same way I like how they framed trying to force a voter ID law as just like, well, you don't want people to erroneously vote. And they try to argue that it's not a poll tax. And I'm like, any additional thing that you require on somebody, including up to forcing them to pay any amount of money to be able to vote, is a poll tax, and we struck that down. Because then if you're like, well, you got to have an ID and you got to go here to get it, then what do? Maybe we just increase the price of that ID to like maybe $100 to get your ID, and then those people, and we're like, oh, it's just the cost of an ID, it's not a poll tax. Like, it's and the fact that more people aren't like, oh yeah, that's fucking stupid. It's just bothersome.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Speaking of stupid, bothersome people, I have some Ted Cruz news.
Oh, is he still alive and kicking? What is Ted Cruz doing now?
For some reason, he's going on television trying to spread the idea that it was Ukraine and not Russia that meddled in the 2016 election.
Oh yeah, which is exactly what Russia wants. Russia's like, yes, it was the Ukraine that did and they meddled for Hillary, and that's why Trump won. Ha.
Yeah, it's insane that this conspiracy theory with no basis in reality whatsoever has become like a major Republican talking point and point of view. And the person that Ted Cruz was talking to was reminding him of when Trump decided to say that his father killed JFK, or that he would spill the beans on his wife, or all this other stuff. And Ted Cruz is like, well, that's family stuff, but thanks for bringing it up. And the guy's like, no, we're just saying that to remind you that this is the same guy spreading the Ukraine narrative. So maybe Trump is willing to lie to, push a political agenda. And Ted Cruz is like, well, this is the media trying to play gotcha journalism, in so many words. And yeah, it's just ridiculous that this narrative is spreading, that it's not dying, that we're not, trying to just impeach and kick Trump out of here, but instead there are still Republicans trying to have his back. That anyone's still trying to have his back at this point. Like, what does Ted Cruz think that he can gain from this?
I've been wondering that for a while, why Ted Cruz is Trump's butt boy. I don't know, man. There's so much that goes on behind the scenes. I don't know, man. Maybe there's some other bill that like Ted Cruz wants to pass, and like, or something he's angling for, and they go out there and say it's the fucking Ukraine, and then we'll give you your fucking candy or whatever.
Could be it. It could also, like, thinking on it, it's the most likely answer is that his voter base still more strongly believes in Trump than they believe in reality. Mm-hmm. So he has to always pretend like he has Trump's back so that he'll keep getting reelected. But at the same time, it's 6 years before he has to deal with the voters again, and he's in Texas, so the odds of him, I guess he could get primaried. He's not going to lose to the Democrat, though, is what I was saying there. But as far as getting primaried by a Trump guy, like, that's impossible at this point. Trump's going to be out of office at least a year before the next time Ted Cruz has to be voted on again, right? Because that's more than 4 years
Well,
away.
I'm glad you
more
bring
than
that.
5 years away.
I'm glad you bring that up because an interesting thing I think I posted in our chat, but I wanted to bring up too, which is a fascinating move that I never thought about based on our Constitution could happen. So if Trump gets impeached and removed before the 2020 election, and Pence goes down with him, right?
Right.
Which is very possible. We'll have President Nancy Pelosi, and then
yeah, that's the dream.
Well, hold on. And then, technically, the 2020 election, because there's nothing saying that once a president's impeached, he can't run again. So he could technically...
Trump could just run again and win.
Yeah, he could technically be removed and then run again in 2020 against Nancy Pelosi and possibly win a second term, thus turning him into the superpowered invincible mutant that we all fear. Because a second... Imagine, if you will, a Trump that has been impeached and removed from office and then won a second term despite all that. Dude, we're done. There's no stopping him. That's the most terrifying. He is going to shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue to celebrate his victory. Because after that, there's nothing can be done to stop him.
Yeah, and oh my God, that would just be the worst because then that guarantees us a Republican in office when RBG dies, right?
Well, I know that I'm spinning a nightmare scenario, but I'm like, oh, why didn't the framers? I guess because the framers also plan for a bunch of eventualities, but there's some dumb shit that I imagine someone's like, well, if you're impeached, I mean, shouldn't we say that you can't run again? And they're like, that's ridiculous. Who would? What? That's stupid. You're wasting ink. You know what I mean? Like back when ink came from an otter's butthole or whatever, you know.
Yeah, ink was a precious commodity back then. They couldn't waste time on ridiculous scenarios.
No, don't waste ink on that. But, I mean, it could happen, right? Everyone shut up, we're not doing that.
The mean man in a red hat isn't real. Now eat your oats and write on that parchment. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is they had a pretty good idea of the stupidity of people, but, man, they really underestimated 2019 America. Just like right now, a judge has ordered a halt to that dumb private section of border wall that's being built in Mission, Texas. And the judge was like, you can't do that. And then they just keep building it.
Some people are actually just trying to build Trump's wall of their own volition?
Yeah, they are building it, and the judge was like, that's illegal, you can't do that. And they're like, we're going to keep doing it anyway. And it's
Why doesn't he arrest them?
Eco-terrorism, drown them with the blood pipe. I don't know, man. They're causing irreparable damage to the fucking 100-acre national butterfly fucking place where, I guess, fuck the butterflies. The guy says that they are doing it because they want to save women and children from the cartels, and the pushback is just the butterfly people flexing their muscle. Now, part of me is upset because he missed a really
big
good...
butterfly. We know how much money that business brings in.
Right? Well, he also missed a really great joke to be like, it's just the butterfly people making a flap about things, come on, dude. You can't even make a good fucking joke there. But yeah, they're still building it. They're damaging the butterfly center. The guy, Kolfage, he's a triple amputee. He goes, a little adversity makes the victor all the more sweet. We won't stop fighting to stop women and children from being enslaved by cartels. Man, I kind of wish you were a super amputee and also your mouth didn't work because you sound like an asshole.
Yeah, I think I've heard of this guy before.
Yeah.
He's been around for a while being an asshole, right?
Yeah. He's like a former Air Force veteran with a Purple Heart, which I guess that gives people license to be assholes.
Maybe. But I was going to segue from our last segment whenever we were talking about people writing on the parchment to begin to tease the audience about our upcoming stories. That'll be in the coming weeks. Would you like to do that or
what stories what stories are we teasing them on? I'm lost here.
Whenever we start talking about the presidents one by one.
Oh yeah. I was
going to say the founding fathers, but it's not specifically them.
In upcoming episodes, we are going to do some special episodes for you guys. Maybe we can get one ready by episode 100. I don't know if we'll have our research in time, but we're going to do...
episode 100's the Wesley episode.
Oh, is that the Wesley episode? All right, maybe episode 101 will be about about Washington. We're going to do an episode about each president There's going to be 44 episodes because, I mean, hell, we already cover the 45th president enough. So we're going to cover all 44, minus Trump.
And we're just going to skip 45. 45 is going to be like how some hotels don't have a 13th floor. They just go straight to, from 12 to 14.
Right.
That's what we're going to do.
Yep, so we're going to cover each president, cradle to grave, in depth, who they were, what they did, what makes them weird. I already got a bunch of weird factoids about Washington. Did you know that his teeth weren't made of wood, but in fact some of his dentures were made out of slave teeth?
Oh, no, that's horrifying. I would not put someone else's teeth in my mouth.
I like how you're like, that's gross for me, and I'm just like, what about the poor guy who's like, you know what? Slavery's bad, but it can't get any worse, and someone's like, Massa needs your teeth, and you're like, God fucking damn it.
Yep.
He also retired from the presidency to go back home to then go around and hunt down escaped slaves. Like, that was his, he's like, his
hobby?
Yeah, being president was okay, but my passion is finding people who escaped from bondage and then forcing them back into bondage.
Yeah, so Washington's not a perfect human being, as we're going to find out.
The history books always go, did you know?
Still nicer to African Americans than Trump, but...
Well, they go, the history books have always been like, did you know that Washington freed all his slaves upon his death? And I don't remember if we talked about this before, but I know if I was a slave and that rumor got to me, Washington would die so mysteriously and so quickly.
I guess that doesn't count as threatening an elected official.
I don't know. I guess
or George Washington's life.
Oh yeah, if someone told me that I would be free upon Master Washington's death, he would die so quickly and mysteriously. But I don't know what happened to Master Washington. I guess he was just messing around with that old blood pipe and then somehow fell in. Damnedest thing.
Yep. So, and as I mentioned earlier, everyone has episode 100 to look forward to. We'll somehow get Wesley on this show. We'll either be able to patch him into the call, or if all else fails, we'll just have him say a series of random things into a recording, send it to me, and then I'll just randomly insert it throughout the episode, so it'll be like he's talking to us. So we'll be like, can you believe that blood pipe? And then we'll go to Wesley, and he's all like, and then the big turnip said, oh. And then we'll go back to us. It's like, yeah, that blood pipe's weird, all the dead fish. And, just splice them in like that. I don't know. We'll figure it out. We'll surprise you.
Also, did you know there's a very strong chance that Lincoln was possibly gay?
I did not know that.
Yeah, so these are all the cool tidbits that you're going to get on our president episodes. I think we're just going to call those episodes Hail to the Chief, baby.
Hey, well, we'll name them after the president.
Well, I mean, they'll be, but I just think
special. Call it Special One George Washington, and they're not going to be sequentially. They're going to be sprinkled in throughout our normal episodes, because this will. Two things. One, this will give us something to do besides just Trump news. And also, after Trump's impeached and removed and the news cycle slows down or it's not as interesting anymore, then we can fill in dead airspace with I don't know, Garfield or something.
Hail to the Chief, he's a real groovy guy. I actually don't know the lyrics to that song.
I didn't know it had lyrics. I just know the theme.
Maybe it doesn't. Maybe I just made it up. Either way, stay tuned for that. Pat, hit him with the socials.
All right. If you would like to reach us, you can do so at Those Muckrakers on Twitter. You can also email us at thosemuckrakers@gmail.com if you'd like to send us your own Dear Wesley. You can complain to our HR department there as well, who is also Wesley. He will hear all of your complaints, and I don't know. If you'd like for us to read them on the air, we'll do so and then tell you what Wesley's response is. Won't be Wesley's actual response. It'll be our interpretation of what his response is. So most likely it'll be, so little Mrs. Dash, and make sure the damn wolf doesn't get in your car again.
God damn wolf.